Welcome to Unity 6 course, part 9. In this chapter, I will explain about the inputs and receiving the mouse and keyboard inputs from user, and move an object or print something in the console using a key, a specific key. You can access to all chapters and the other parts from the playlist here, and also the link is in the description. Right, here we have only the update method because we need to get the input in the update, not awake or start, because it will check the user input every frame. If we write at the input and the awake start, it will receive the user input only in the awake in the beginning of the game. It's not correct. Alright, Unity 6 offers two input system. The new input system actually, I'm not used to it, and it's not useful for me actually. The first input system is better because you can have more management on it and customize it. For getting any input, you need to call the input class. Input class offers many methods. For example, get mouse button, get key up, get key down. But the question is, how can we access to the methods provided by the input class without creating an object based on the input? Because in the previous chapters, we saw we need to define an object based on a class to access to the properties and methods. But how can we access to the methods provided by the input directly without an object? These methods are static methods. If we control and left click, as you can see, this is static methods or static properties are available globally without creating a new object based on a class. I will talk about the concept behind statics, but you already know about if you put the static keyword before the name of the method or property, you can make it available globally and you can access it without creating a new object from that class. Alright, we have three main methods to get keys. The first one is the get key, and we have three variations: get key down, get key up. Get key means it will execute everything if until a key is down. For example, if I press the Q button on the keyboard for 3 seconds, it will run a code for 3 seconds for almost 180 times every second. We consider every second 60 frames. 60 multiplied by 3 is 180 times. The second method is get key down. It will run your code once when your key down. And the next is get key up. When you release a key, it will run once. I will upload every chapter of the course every week, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification to know about the new chapters and new tutorials. So, how to get a specific key? Actually, get key down, and get key up will return a bool. So why bool? If the key pressed, it will return true. If the key not pressed, it will return false. Now we can call the get key, and here we need to use key code. Key code is an enum. As I said in the previous chapter, I will explain about the enum. It will give you some choices, and you can select between 2 or infinite number of choices. Here, if you press dot, we can access to all the keys on the keyboard, on the mouse, Android or iOS, touches, and so on. Here we can press Q, and we have a boolean here because get key will return boolean, and bool be pressed. We need to save it, and we can print the be pressed. Here, let's see. Play the game. And here, as you can see, we have the false return value. Now we can press the Q button, and I'm pressing the Q button. And as you can see, we have this message. I release it, I press it, and you can see the result. Let's test the key down. Play the game. Right, it's false. I'll press the Q. Alright, as you can see, I'm pressing the Q key, but it's false. It will print out the true ones. Right, let's test the key up. And here I'll press the Q. As you can see, we don't have any true, and I release it. Here, as you can see, we have a true once. Right, you already know about the get key, and we can access to all the keys through the key code enum. Here, let's explain about the second type of method, input.getAccess. I don't want to talk about the getAccess raw for now. I just want to cover the getAccess. So what is the getAccess and what it receives? Actually, it receives a string, which is the name of the key. But how we can realize what the name of a specific key or a specific access? And I need to say it will return a float. So why a float, not boolean? So go to the edit, project settings, and here in the input manager, here we have access. It's a list, or we can say array, of many keys. Actually, these options here are the keys. We can create a new item and give a 1, 2, 3, or 4 keys to each axis. Here, for example, horizontal, it is useful for horizontal keys, this direction I'm mentioning, which you can get the A and D keys. And vertical is related to W and S keys, vertical axis. As you can see, the horizontal key has a name which you can change it. It's horizontal by default. It will receive 4 keys: negative button, positive button, alt negative button, and alt positive button. So what is the negative and positive? Actually, when you press the right direction button on your keyboard or D button on your keyboard, it will return a positive value. As you can see, it will return a float. It will return a positive float number. And if you press the left direction or A on the keyboard, it will return the negative number. And the number, the final number, will be in a range of 1, -1, and 1, not beyond that, not -2 or +2. You can remove this or change it, and you can easily change any key you want. But you need to be careful, know about the exact name of each key, because you are inserting a string and we don't have a list of keys and you can't select between them. And every key should be written in lowercase. Style, I don't want to talk about the gravity dead, but you can set a sensitivity. What if you want to move your mouse? So we can change the sensitivity of the key, and if you have 10 number for the sensitivity, and if you move your mouse, you have a higher speed, and when you have 1 for the sensitivity, you have a slower speed. So it affects on mouse, on joysticks, not keyboard keys, because keyboard keys are triggered type and we have 0 or 1. We don't have for example 0.4, 0.5, but for mouse we have, for joysticks we have, but for mouse we do, for joysticks we do. So if you move your mouse and get mouse movement value, it may return a float value, for example 0.1, 0.2, and maximum value is 1. And you can change the type of the key. It's key and mouse, just mouse, or joystick. These are the most important sections about the axis. We have the vertical SW and up and down directions for the fire or shoot, for the jump, and mouse X for the horizontal moving of the mouse. And here we don't have any keys because mouse movement is related to mouse movement type. And X-axis, as you can see, horizontal axis, it's different. The definition of the mouse is different. And the mouse Y, as you can see, the mouse movement, but Y-axis, it will axis to the vertical movement of the mouse. And here we can change this number to 31, and here we have a new option. Press Ctrl Z, and as you can see, we lost it. And here we have an extra field, and we can change its properties and create a new key and rename it to everything you want. So using the get axis, we need to write the exact key we want to access. For example, horizontal, let's copy and paste it here. And print, we need to define a float, horiz, and horiz. Let's see. Alright, play the game and see the result. It's 0. If I press D, as you can see, now it's 1. Actually, it smoothly goes to 1. Let's press D again, and as you can see, we'll start from this value and increases gradually, and here we have 1 value. Alright, press A, and as you can see, it will return -1, negative values actually. Alright, this is the get axis. And the last type of method is get button. I will not introduce it in depth. It does look like the axis, but it will return a bool. It's a combination between get axis and get key. Actually, you need to give it a string, horizontal, vertical, mouse X, and so on, and it will return a boolean. And we have the get button down, and get button up. I don't want to cover it. And beside that, we have the get mouse button, but I will not talk about it too, because we can get access to the mouse buttons using the get axis and get key, and we don't need the get mouse button down, up, or empty get mouse button. Let's move an object using the get axis and also get key and compare them. Here we need to write a condition if input.getKey keycode.w. So move the current game object. We can access the current game object using the transform property provided by MonoBehavior, as I said in the previous chapter, and call the translate method and move it in the let's see, the cube in the X or Z axis. I prefer X. Here I can create a new vector tree object here, but I prefer to define a variable vector tree here because, as I said, if you use the new keyword in the update method a lot, it will make your game laggy, and I prefer to define value here positive pose, and here another vector tree for negative pose, and here I need to pass the positive pose because W should move the cube and every object in the positive direction, positive X. Else if input.getKey keycode.s, if it was s, translate to negative pose. Alright, let's see. Alright, the question is game object is empty and cube has a mesh, a 3D model. So we call the transform here, which means this game object to current game object, which the symbol could attach to. If we move the game object, the empty game object, we don't see anything. It's incorrect because when a parent moves, the children will be moved too. Actually, the game object is empty, but the cube is the child of the game object and it's moving as well. And we can move the cube separately. Alright, let's set a value for the x. For example, 0.01 and minus 0.01. Here, it will pass these two values to the translate, and it will add the positive to the current position, and this scenario will add negative position to the current position. Here, let's start. Alright, press W, and as you can see, the cube is moving, and S, this is the value, and you can see the X. It's decreasing and it's increasing. Right. For the exercise, you need to write the A and D, or even jump using the space key. Here we can access to space. Write the jump logic. Alright, let's implement the logic with get axis. Here we can check the get axis horizontal if it will return a float. If it will bigger than 0, so it is D key. So move the object in the positive position. Let's see. It's different from get key. It will return a float, and we need to check the exact number. Right, as you can see, it moves. But I have a better idea to make this line to a single line, because we need to add the logic of lower than 0, and we need to pass the negative pose. So we have 4 lines of codes, and we can make it just 1. Here we need to get rid of the condition. Here we can create a new vector tree, or we can use the other variations of translate. Here we have a specific variation which we can send the x, y, and z separately, not using the vector tree. Here for the x, we can call the input.getAxis and horizontal. We'll send the A and D keys as a float. Actually, this axis is float, and the get axis will return a float. So if we press the D, it will send 1. If we press the A, it will send -1. So we have a correct logic. And for the rest of it, we send a 0 for the Y and Z. Let's test and see it works or not. Alright, play the game. And as you can see, it's so fast. And the cube is here. We need to decrease at the returned value because the maximum value is 1, and adding 1 to the translate every frame makes the presses too high and the moving presses too high. And we can define a float variable called speed, and here multiply the horizontal returned value by the speed. We need to set the speed to 0.01, 0.1, because if we have the 1 result and multiply it by 0.1, we have the 0.1 as the result. Actually, we are dividing it. Alright, now we have the logic, and let's test. Alright, we have the speed here, and we need to set it to 0.01. Let's test. Alright, as you can see, we are moving the cube smoothly and very good. For the last work, we can move the z-axis as well. Z-axis should work with the W and S. Here we need to call the input.getAxis vertical and multiply it by speed as well. The only zero in this list is y. And here, if we wanted to write this logic using the if and else, we needed to write 8 lines. But with this logic, we have just a single line. All right, play the game, and here we have the W, D, A, and S with a single line of code. Alright, these are the main principles of getting inputs from the keyboard and mouse, and you already know about them. In the next chapter, I'll explain about the physics and how to make a character movement correctly. For example, a first-person character or third-person character correctly using the physics, not just simple movement of the objects.